Hello, everyone. Welcome to the pre-show of the Codex podcast.
Hello.
As usual, I'm your host, Sonny Kruger. I'm joined by my usual co-host, the Ric Flair of comic books himself,
Woo!
Uncle Gary.
Hello.
Mighty Mike will be joining us in a little bit.
Yeah, he is coming from an engagement that he had to take care of, the family matter, and he is on his way.
Yeah, so we look forward to having Mike on, and in the meantime, it's us, and look at that.
He's already here. There
we go. Hey, Mike.
Let's get ready to send him.
Shall receive.
Right, and Sonny wasn't just asking; he was imploring. He wanted to see you so much. You know, I know he enjoys me and you double teaming him is what he enjoys.
And it's very interesting. You know, you guys.
Is that not the language you would use?
Guys, you know what? It's time. It's time for a new segment, guys.
A new segment, improper.
A new segment
on the show.
We have a new segment. It is called "Behave Yourselves."
Oh my God, that segment is not long for this world, is it, Mike?
Okay, so
I
this is.
Don't know how to do that.
So here's how it's gonna go, guys. Audience, this is for you too. I'm gonna show a picture. We all gotta behave ourselves, okay?
Oh, here we go. What's the
All
picture?
right. So first off, behave
Let's do this.
yourselves. We have Power Girl here.
Oh, look out.
Woo! Now we're talking. See, whatever nonsense.
Hey, Liz. And see, Liz, you came just on time. Our new segment, Behave Yourselves. So,
You know, whatever
Hey,
whatever Mike and I were gonna do wrong, Sonny is completely distracted. It's like dog, squirrel. That's squirrel. There you go. Nice.
yeah, a nice picture. You see she's checking her outfit. Maybe checking that her brassiere is
Taking the
working
fit.
good.
Taking the fit.
Yeah, so all good.
High and tight.
that's the
So
way I like him.
here we go. Just behave yourself, everybody.
She has gravity-defying powers. I love it.
Hey, Sal.
So,
Hey, Sal. And listen, behave yourself. Scary? Never.
well, you know, to thine own self be true, as the immortal bard said.
Hello,
Sal
noise.
says, hello, nurse. Sal,
Hello,
listen,
nurse. That's right.
this goes for the audience, too. Everybody's got to behave ourselves. All right.
He just distracted us all. Me and Mike were going to go off on a tangent, and Sonny just totally hijacked whatever thought processes we had going on.
He is the man.
He is a master manipulator.
Number 2.
He's our Billy Butcher.
Our Billy Butcher. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Now party.
Here we go. Love is love, and we see it
Love
between
is
Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn.
Aw.
Well, that's all right with me.
You
I got
me
no
and
problem.
Jamie, we reviewed this one a few years back. When we talked about this one, we noticed the kiss. If you notice, it is kind of weird by the mouth because they had to edit that. They unfortunately had to edit and couldn't make it like lips on lips.
Oh, so it had to be okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, but you still got the butt grab there.
Always the good.
Yo, that is a whole lot of cheek being palmed. Yep,
Sal spelling wrong.
nothing wrong.
And Liz said, "Bob, Selena's Balin rack was better."
Listen, if Balin had drawn Power Girl, there's no telling where it would have ended. It would look like my Mina Grover pictures.
Yeah, really.
And Sal says it's good with Ivy and Harley. So am I.
Yeah, me too.
Two great characters. All right, now the last one. Is Tigra about to pounce on Miss Marvel?
Meow.
Now there you go.
From
I like
behind.
that. I would watch that movie.
Yeah.
I might have seen that movie.
I don't know if you were behaving yourself during that movie, though. But there we go. Just a little bit of time. See, you guys can do good. You guys can behave yourselves. It's all good.
Exactly.
Meow. Yeah, there you go.
Guys, I feel like I've taught you a lot.
You've done
I've
your
been
job.
I've been like a father figure to you guys.
You just distracted us, is what you did.
I've taught you a lot.
Yeah. Well, you know, it'd be like if, you know, for Sal, if I did this and went, look, action figure, Space Knight coming through. Yeah.
Man, you love that figure, and I can't blame you. That is a cool ROM figure, man.
No, what's Sonny anywhere near it?
And before Liz, it said, "Oh, meow," for that.
Meow.
The Tigra picture. And Sal, I don't think Sal's behaving
I'm out and
himself.
I need a cigarette.
Sal says, "Yeah, I'm out. I need a cigarette."
Cigarette. Well, was it History of the World where the guy was in bed with the sheep and the sheep was smoking?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
But all good fun, I said here on the pre-show. So there you go. You guys behaved yourselves. You guys both. I see you guys both won. Behave yourselves. You guys both won the contest.
Woohoo!
Woo!
Good job for that. And now we could talk about a little bit about what we'll have on the actual show today. You know, Memorial Day was this past Monday. So today we will be reviewing this story right here.
Liz,
Our
we
Army
are
of War
There we go.
297.
Look at that cover. Look at that cover. Fantastic. Now, I post that every Memorial Day. It means a lot to me, and I'm just look at Rock's face, and that's exactly what the sacrifice is. Yeah, me and Easy Company made it back, but this is what it cost.
Yeah.
Man, that is just powerful.
You posted that on the Count Character of the Day page. Everybody check it out, and then it got me interested. And I'm like, hey, how about we review it? So that's what we will be reviewing tonight. Also, we had a lot of comic book news going on. There's some unfortunate passings. We got some crossover announced. We got a lot going on. Somebody's returning with their usual logo. Then we'll, of course, have Variant Insanity. We have Random Panel of the Week. We'll have Right or Wrong. Today, Uncle Gary will be the man with the 5 statements. We'll have the F list. And it's a Legionnaire joining today.
Oh.
You're already, you wanted me to behave. Well, that's out the window now.
We'll see. I know how to find my...
Along with the Legion. There you go.
And then after that, of course, we will be reviewing, like I said, our Army at War number 297. Well, let's see. We've got some comments. Let's see. I'm selling you. Liz had said, no male eye candy too. Another time, Liz, when
That's what the three of us were.
Liz. Gosh, Liz, I'm almost. If I had feelings, I'd be hurt by that.
There we go. There's the face.
Just made me spit my Coke out.
Drooling. Okay, Liz, you don't have to drool for us.
Liz, somebody get a mop, clean up in aisle 3.
Liz, not too sure if you meant the artist for the Sergeant Rock cover, or
if it's for the Sergeant Rock cover, that's the immortal Joe Kubert.
Oh, Kubert.
There's never been a more accurate statement. And new opener. Yeah, for the actual show. I saw it before. I think you guys will like it. Yeah, so we don't need to do a countdown. We'll just
Sal is doing more magic.
Yep, he did. I checked it out.
The things he does in the Slabatorium, I swear.
Yeah, when he doesn't need that cigarette, he gets to work.
Yeah, that's really good around all the chemicals in the morgue.
Yeah.
But Liz, maybe another time we'll have behave ourselves. I had to take one for the team, and I had to type in like sexy comic book panel.
I'm surprised you just didn't whip out your copy of Vegetable Lover.
Oh, there wasn't too many nice looking images inside there.
You want me to get
they're pretty messed up.
You want me to get my Housewives at Play and my Lick Lick Lap Lap cover?
You know what? That reminds me. This summer we've got to do that uncensored episode. I think we'll be.
There we go. We got all the covers.
We cannot show those covers, even on uncensored.
Or maybe you may have to send it to me, and I'll have to add it put the Codex logo over certain things. One of my videos, was it a C2E2 one or MightyCon? There was an image with I looked at the comic, I pulled it out, and the women were, they're just showing their breasts. So during the video I just had when I opened it, that our Codex logos appeared over both nipples.
Well, you've got a whole lot more editing than that to do on Housewives at Play.
And Liz said, "LOL, I meant comics, but yes, you all are eye candy as well." Thank you very much, Liz.
We may be past our shelf life, but we're still eye candy.
It's true.
There was a time no kidding, I was asked about modeling, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Answering that, I was passing the questions, and I was like, maybe I would do it. And then it came to the age thing. And this is when I was like 28 or no, I think it was like 29. And like, oh, sorry, we were looking for people who are like 18 and 24.
You're already aged out.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, well, thank you for considering me, but yeah,
It's
my
like
time has passed.
Leonardo DiCaprio's dates. You know, they age out.
Yeah,
When they hit like 24, they're too old. Yeah.
Yeah, I like when I see that. I still think there was like a birthday cake for somebody, and it was his face on it, and they're like, "Hey, happy birthday! You're now too old for Leonardo DiCaprio."
There you go. It's a damn shame.
Yeah, but what else have you guys got going on?
Well, we're in the midst of getting ready to set up at a show this weekend. Big Lick Comic Logic, Big Lick Comic Show, which is at the Dulles Expo Center, which is near Dulles Airport here in Northern Virginia. We'll be set up there Saturday and Sunday, so you can come see us there, Comic Logic. And then a week from Sunday, we will have the one and only Jim Calipari in our shop with a signing that we worked to procure to get that man in our shop. Jim Calipari of Exiles and Aquaman fame and Secret Six, and I think he's doing Defenders of the Earth right now, and he's also has a self-published book called Ned, Lord of the Pit, and he'll have both his volumes of that. Volume 2 is something he recently got completed, and he'll have those to sell, and he'll sign books, do quick free sketches for the folks, and come buy his books and come meet a genuine professional.
And so says he acts like he's 18. Does it count? No.
Sal, I act like I'm 13. You know, I mean,
13. When did you turn 13? I thought you were stuck in 12.
I could be 12.
Could be 12. Could be 12.
Could be 12.
You haven't even reached teenager yet. You
haven't even hit puberty yet.
One day.
Wait till that voice changes.
Yeah. La, la, la.
Maybe next time you're on, we'll be, Mike, you sound a bit different, man.
Mm-hmm.
Balls
change. Yeah, but everyone, I say, I wrapped up filming my series. My show was serious about a series that I filmed even before Codex began. On Friday, I wrapped it up, so no more filming for me.
Nice.
Wow. Did you shed a tear? It was a big moment.
It was a big moment, but I didn't shed a tear. I guess I was just so like happy, cheer, and then I'm like, I still have a lot of editing to do.
How many episodes of your show?
This is fourth and last one.
Fourth and last ones. There you go.
Nice.
Episode 4 finale. Yeah, and then I'm writing a book. I'm on the last chapter. It's called Eldo's Awkward World.
You're writing it.
Yep, that's one writing. Yeah.
Wow.
So with me, writing is always what I do first. I always got my stories, and then go on to that, and then of course always read. I write stories, I film them, I read them, and sometimes review them on this show called the Codex Podcast.
How do you have time to do that and mangle action figures?
Oh, I just do time management.
Time management. Wow.
Yeah. Richard says, "Hey, hi, Richard."
Professional.
He's a professional.
And Liz says, "Congrats to me." Thank you, Liz. Very appreciated. So I'm almost there.
Mm-hmm.
And Liz even did say she said that she would go back to the teens, early 20s, though. Hell yeah.
She would never go back. Okay.
Oh, she would never go back. Oh.
Never go back. You're misconstruing what that said.
I was seeing there was some. I'm making sure to see the comments, making sure I'm trying to read. Like you said, that when the time management thing, sometimes I'm doing this and that, and sometimes I get things mixed up.
You're doing that Evelyn Wood speed reading thing, and you went too far.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard, for being #Team Sunny.
Team Sunny.
Team Sunny.
Richard is trying to. He's trying to sweet talk the host there. I see what you're doing, Richard.
And you've completely worked. It's completely worked. Richard.
Yeah, he's acceptable.
It's completely
Good
worked.
job, Richard. Way to suss that out. Good job.
If I was able to give you let me give it. Wait, says I'm able to give that a star.
He's giving stars. Now he's giving stars.
I didn't realize. I was like, if I can give that, I was going to say if I can give that a star, I would. And then I looked, and I actually was able to give it.
Okay, well, Richard, that star and about $5 will get you a cup of fancy coffee. There you go.
And Mr. Keith says, Happy Wednesday. But you know what? Also, $5 can get you something. You know what? We've got a contest.
Look at that. May giveaway.
Yeah, we've got the May giveaway where you can get yourself some comic books. You can get 8 issues from the Age of Apocalypse, and you can get the 4-issue miniseries of the Adventures of Cyclops in Phoenix. The winner will be announced on May 31st. And how you enter is you could follow us and follow and share this post. You can go like on Instagram, share the post to your story, or Facebook. You could tag people. One tag equals 1 entry. So if you tag 10 people, you get 10 entries. And if you're already subscribed on YouTube, let us know. You can take screenshots, things like that. And if you're a new subscriber, DM us a screenshot, and we'll hook you up with 5 bonus entries. So there you go. Certain things you can do. You can get yourself some comic books. Like $5. You can buy a comic, or like I said, you could be entered. You could win a comic book, but also too, like on our YouTube, if you do $1, you are a member of the Codex Station, and you get more videos, certain videos that we don't have published for the public. Just $1.
$1.
That is right. Well, this says that's a great giveaway, and I agree. And make sure to hit that like button. Yes, everybody, please give us those likes. We can use it.
Keith has a mansion and a yacht.
Yeah, Mr. Keith says he won the giveaway in April, and now he's mansion and yacht.
Wow. He didn't win a giveaway he didn't win our giveaway.
He's an
oligarch. He started.
He's an oligarch.
He's an oligarch.
You too can be an oligarch.
But it gets you started once you get on a roll. Like you win maybe you win the Codex Station, and you're like, man, you know what? I'm feeling really lucky because I won this. Then you play the lottery, and then you win $353 million. You can say, wow. It all started with the Codex Station.
That would make you a oligarch.
Yeah.
Lottery. Yeah.
Yeah. But remember, if that does happen, you'll have a lot more money than all of us. You could even give us gifts if you wanted. $1 million for Sonny. $10 for Jamie. Another $1 million for Sonny.
Wow. Sonny's making out on this transaction. I think Jamie's getting short-shifted.
Short-shifted.
I got to get him with the name of this episode. Ghost Rider, Godzilla Ghost Rider, and all that talk. But in the title, he did not put that there's a Deadpool and Batman crossover. Frank Castle's returning. We've got a lot of news. When
we did the Butcher show last week, it was very revealing that the hamster that Huey liberated is named Jamie. So we all got a good kick out of that.
That's true.
So he punished you guys, and so he punished us, and said, "Oh, you know what? I'm not giving it a good name. I'm going to give it a name that doesn't get us viewers."
I mean, I had nothing to do with that. Garth Ennis wrote that.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Garth.
Life's been good. Yeah, I hear that. Well, Joe Walsh. Yeah, only the best oligarch. Oh man.
Guys, it's been fun. Are you ready to jump onto the actual show? And are you ready to see this new intro that Sal made for us?
Wait a minute, I got to get popcorn and get a drink and sit back and watch this because
popcorn ready.
These things are becoming cinematic. So they're every time he does an intro,
we record it
longer and longer and longer. Pretty much the whole show will be the intro, and then we'll say hi, and then we'll say bye, and that's
and then an outro.
That's okay. Yeah, there you go.
But here we go. Yeah, so we don't need to put a timer on it. We don't need to give you guys 30 seconds or anything, because this intro that Sal kindly made for us will take up the time. So
let's look at what Sal did.
See in about 30 seconds.
Way to go, Sonny. Mike, we got some billing, and
we got some credits.
Bigger letters than his, and he is the permanent host. There you go. Now we're talking.
Wow.
That's how you treat. That's how you treat me and Mighty Mike. There you
I
go.
am honored. It is an honor and a privilege.
Sal,
Thank you very much.
Your kickback check is in the mail.
Yep. Hold on.
Nice. Well, always glad having you guys on the show. So at least we can give you guys some bigger letters. Like I said, before it was always with Sonny. No.
Yeah. Added. We got added to the show. Wow.
Sweet.
That was very nice. So, Sal,
put it on a resume because
yes.
Sonny being magnanimous and sharing some of the billing. Look at that.
Yeah. So what can I say? You guys are a huge part of the show. Uncle Gary, you've been a part of this on the Codex podcast for over a year now.
Wow. Has it really been a year now?
Yeah. And Mike, I think your time at Codex, the Codex station has reached around a year at least. You're close to around a year.
Sounds about right. Yeah, when he first debuted. Matter of fact, it was it the Sergeant Rock episode that we did on the anniversary of D-Day, Mike? Was that your first?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
That was your first official broadcast. So so that would have been June 6th of last year. So Mike's a week away from being a year. But your rookie season's almost over, brother.
I'm hitting 1,000.
Yeah, there you go, man. You stepped up to the plate and mashed on that first show when we did Sergeant Rock. So
I'm glad to have you guys look at us here now.
Yeah, look at this.
Glad to have you here. Yeah, so always
a year later, here we are tormenting Sonny. I can't imagine it going any better.
Yeah, and then hey, Mike, how you said yours is on June 6th. 3 days later is June 9th, which is the 4-year anniversary of this show right here, the Codex.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow, 4 years.
4 years.
Yes, so
how do you celebrate 4 years? Fornicate?
Wood. I think it's wood.
Well, fornicate would have wood involved.
Because we had that state. I thought I taught you guys with the behavior selves segment.
This wasn't behaving. This isn't behaving.
But all good. Yeah, you guys are all good, and I always love having a good time. Having you guys mess with me.
That's what they say. Call you Good Time Sonny.
Good Time Sonny.
I got to add it to my name. My nickname is Good Time Sonny.
The Codex podcast with Good Time Sonny.
Good Time Sonny.
I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to be in a conversation with somebody. Be like, they call me Good Time Sonny.
Good Time Sonny.
That's how fun I am. There's video evidence. Okay.
Fun in the sun.
Yep.
Yeah. Even though I don't like to get much sun, I get burned. I get real red.
He was telling me he had gang troubles growing up, and Sonny's got a terrible predicament. He's half English and Irish, and he's half Mexican. So he's got Mexican cartels in his heritage, and he's got English and Irish soccer hooligans in his DNA.
And he looks Italian.
Yeah, I know. What the hell? That is a lethal. Toxic combination of explosiveness.
And I was named after Sonny from The Godfather.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go. And my last name is Kruger. So,
well, I know. Listen, you came off good. Your brother Fredo, not so good.
Yeah,
but at least I'm good. So there you go.
There you go. Good time, Sonny.
Yep. Good time, Sonny. And we've got a lot of good stuff ahead for everybody. Like I said, got a lot of comic book news, Variant Insanity. Right or wrong, which should be Uncle Gary with the 5 statements. We got a random panel.
Was that me this week?
Yeah, that's you. You have to make it. You have to make them up real fast.
Did you call me about that earlier?
I sent a message.
Did I respond?
You sent a runner.
Yeah.
I responded.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's on me.
So it's got to be you. Yeah.
I got him right here.
Good. And Sal says, "How do you celebrate 4 years?" Power Girl picks.
Oh, I like that.
You mean like this one that we had earlier?
There we go. Hey now.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll figure something out. And also, too, before we get to our review of our Army at War, number 297, we'll have the F list. And like I said earlier, both of you guys got the actual comic.
Of course we do. I've got like 3 copies of this. I keep upgrading and getting better copies. So, great book.
And before that, we have a Legionnaire joining the F list.
All right, the show just went downhill. I'm gonna have to put the.
It's going up.
Dan Kelly, where are you at? Dan Kelly, Long Live the Legion. Where you at? Chris. See, that's what you've done. You're making me contact Chris Sports.
Now he's going to call in the backup.
Yeah, here we go. I'm
All the Schwartz.
going to text Chris right now that Sonny's going to try to put a Legionnaire on the F list. If it's Stone Boy, go ahead. He was a Legion of so the Legion of substitute heroes by and large could be on the F list. I'm okay with that.
Stone Boy. I'm trying to find Stone Boy in my notes somewhere. He's in my notes. Stone Boy, whose real name is Dag Wenton. So he's on the notes, so he's coming in the future. But today's episode, when you see the F lister, you might agree with me.
We'll see.
Okay, but first, of course, like our usual shows, we start off with our comic book news / the rundown. There's a huge crossover that's set to start in September, and that is Batman and Deadpool. We'll have a crossover. They will come out in September 17th. But we had some bad news, some sad news, and that is the passing of two comic book legends. One being Peter David, who passed away at the age of 68, and the other being Tod Smith, who passed away at the age of 72. Both legends in the game. We'll get on to more about them and more of their history in a little bit after I get through more of the run-through. We have a character. We have one of my favorites returning. He's putting his logo back on. He is the Punisher. Frank Castle is returning.
Yes.
Punisher.
That is right. He's going to be back. He's
awesome.
Going to the skull in his red band issue. And also somebody else. Well, he's not wearing a Punisher thing, but he might be. And that is Godzilla. Godzilla is becoming Ghost Riderzilla. He's becoming Venomized. We had quite a fun chat with all the stuff Godzilla is doing, and he's taking on basically everyone in the Marvel Universe. But speaking of the Marvel Universe, we got some Avengers news, and it's not so good, but pretty predictable. And that is that Doomsday has been delayed to December of 2026. And this has been delayed to December 2027. And speaking of movies, Voltron movie with Henry Cavill is going to be in there. And if you want to see it at the theater, guess what? It's pretty much not going to be at the theaters. It's set to only come out on Prime whenever that comes out. It's set to have a lot of big stars in there. Like I said, Henry Cavill, but it's looking like it will not be going to theaters. Prime Video has announced they're going to have quite a few movies coming out next year, going straight to Prime, and then Voltron is set to be one of them.
That's going to be an expensive movie.
Oh, yeah, it will. And now we go from movies. We go from comics to movies to shows. And there's going to be a show set more around the character Vision. And in that show with Vision, set to be the MCU debut of Jocasta, the Bride of Ultron.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, guys, a lot of news this past week. Where shall we begin? And there's Boosh. Say yo. And yep.
Hey, Boosh.
And Boosh said Batman Deadpool crossover. That is right. I will be talking about that. Batman Deadpool are having a crossover. The first issue comes out September 17th. And some of the issues, it'll be a few issues. One will be written by Zeb Wells with Greg Capullo on the artwork. Another will be written by Grant Morrison, and Dan Mora will be the man doing the art.
It's a powerful group of individuals.
Yeah.
Well, after there's a little bit of hatred here after what Zeb Wells did with Spider-Man, but we'll see what he does there. He's got a good artist with him, but the Morrison Dan Mora book intrigues me.
Yeah.
Although
I think a better crossover would have been Nightwing Deadpool, because the banter would have been there.
Right. There could have been more banter. I just don't see them as I just don't see it as a great pairing with Batman and Deadpool. I mean, Batman's going to have a lot less patience than Wolverine has ever had with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it kind of being something similar. Yeah, like, Deadpool's got his humor and everything, and Batman's just kind of like shut up and maybe gives him a puncture. I mean, it still can be good. I'm still interested in how it's going to be. Like I said, there could be some better crossovers.
The ultimate crossover, if they had the balls.
Yeah, I know where he's going.
Deathstroke Deadpool.
Yes.
Yep.
What's your name?
Who are you? Slade.
Yeah.
No, I'm Wade.
What's your last name? Mr. Wilson.
Wilson.
Wilson, they both turn.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope he's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Two of my favorites. There he goes.
Yeah. So I'll read a little bit about that. Yeah, it says for the story, it says kicking off this September 17th tells how Wade Wilson is hired for a job in Gotham City that puts him in the crosshairs of the world's greatest detective, Batman. And it says the company, the main one shot, will be a lineup of backup adventures that features exciting Marvel and DC character matchups.
Oh,
And
you know,
another coming out.
So they should have Deadpool and Deathstroke, and they also ought to throw the parody character that Palmiotti and Connor created, Red Tool.
Nice, yeah.
Red Tool. Yeah, they created that was a Deadpool parody, Red Tool. Oh my goodness.
Who's you saying? Yeah, lifelong fan of Batman and reading.
You know what? Of course, Deathstroke would be the same thing. He'd have no sense of humor to deal with his knockoff.
Be an interesting fight, and like I said, some interesting things. You know, like I said, especially with the what's your name? Yeah. And you know, Boosh, not too sure if you remember, but we've even reviewed some of the very early Deadpool works, both of his first and his second miniseries. Yeah, the Circle Chase, and then the self-titled Deadpool miniseries as well. Yeah. And then, guys, so I think that'll be interesting to see that, and also the crossovers. Well, you know, more things they can do. You know, that 2026 is supposed to be a big, huge event, a big crossover of Marvel and DC. But I guess at least it's pretty cool that this year we're starting to get some of them, like Deadpool and Batman. I was like, oh, that's a nice surprise, and you just gotta wait till September.
There's supposed to be some backups stories in those books too, so that are different characters. So I'm more looking forward to those, to be honest with you, because I just don't think it's a great pairing between those two.
So we will see how that goes, and we'll keep everybody updated with, you know, the announcements of more DC and Marvel crossovers. But guys, I did also want to talk about, you know, the passings. You know, the passings of Peter David and Tod Smith. You know, both legends. And I mean, you know, Peter David, that epic run he had. You know, obviously many epic runs, but you know, my favorite was on the Hulk. You know, like I got some epic collections. This one includes Future Imperfect, and yeah, you know,
that's the great stuff. And the cover there is of the wedding of Rick and Marlo, and the bachelor party episode, maybe one of my favorite comics ever.
Yeah, I went right now when I was looking through it quickly. Yeah, and Vision, that's your wife. You must be very proud.
Yeah, Cap on the cover, watching it like that.
Yeah, so that's when they definitely check out. Fun, and but he's working it too. Like I said, the whole X Factor, even one of our very first. It might have been within the first 10 episodes of the Codex podcast. One of them I picked was Hulk, I believe, 420, and it was with the Hulk dealing with AIDS. You know, one thing that's what I loved with Peter David's writing was taking these characters we know and we love and make him deal with more real life issues. I thought he was a master at doing that.
Yeah, that was his sidekick. Was it something Wilson? I think the kid's name was Wilson. Was his last name? I can't remember the first name, but he died of AIDS. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to look back to where we got to when we reviewed that one. That was an early episode of the Codex podcast. That was that was episode 7. So all the way back in all the way back on episode 7 of the Codex podcast, I picked for us to review The Incredible Hulk 420.
And there's just you and Jamie, probably?
Yeah, that was when it was just me and Jamie. All the way back to the beginning. Codex Roots. I was like, this is a powerful issue, and I had that 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. There you go.
Yeah, a lot with Peter David's writing. Yeah. So, and I remember a few years ago too when he had the GoFundMe that his family put out for him when he was not doing well. So,
he's been sick for quite a few years. You know, Mike and I have been doing cons, Baltimore for many years now, and he's not been there in a long time. Yeah, because I haven't met him, and I'm sorry I didn't get the opportunity to do that, because I really, I loved his work on Aquaman so much.
Yeah, because I know. Yeah, I was meaning to mention that to you, because I know, like, I was taught you're more of Hulk and X Factor, but Aquaman, I know you're a huge fan. So,
as Aquaman run was fantastic.
Yeah, and then Tod Smith, who had worked on a lot of work as well, like Peacemaker and Vigilante, and also had worked on the Punisher. Let me get it out here. From my epic collections, this one. I mean, it features Jigsaw puzzle, but the story that Tod Smith had worked on was No Escape. So that's the graphic novel and deals with the Punisher, Paladin, and U.S. Marshal all together. Or U.S. Agent, U.S. Marshal, U.S. Agent. Yeah, all of them together. Which she worked on with Gregory Wright. And not to brag, but I have Gregory Wright as a friend on Facebook, and he wished me happy birthday a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
But Gregory Wright wrote something, and I wanted to read it out here for everyone. When about both passings, Gregory Wright wrote, "Very sad to learn that two more of my former comics collaborators have passed away. The underrated and very talented Tod Smith illustrated Punisher No Escape, which I wrote. He was best known for longer runs on Vigilante, Omega Men, Darkhawk. He was one of those artists I always hoped to work with more often. Peter David passed away just last night. Peter was working in direct sales at Marvel when I met him and was a go-to guy to get really great fill-in issues from. He wrote a terrific run on Spider-Man and introduced the character The Foreigner to the MU, a character whom I used frequently in Silver Sable. Peter also had a terrific run on the Hulk, famously with Todd McFarlane. Peter was a huge champion for Todd in the early days when people were still uneasy about Todd's cartoony look. It was ironic that they would end up debating each other over Peter's unfair criticism of Image in his "But I Digress" column. Honestly, I'm not really sure, but it was a fun circus which Peter took. Very seriously, with Todd just having a great time with the whole thing. Peter also wrote many novels, and he said, I also enjoyed talking stories with Peter. Both Peter and Todd did work together a few times that I recall on Action Comics. R.I.P. Peter and Todd.
Wow.
Yeah, great losses. I have, more experience. I mean, I have many of the Tod Smith Punisher, works, and I have all the Vigilantes, all the Omega Men. So I have those. Peter David.
Did you do Death of a Prince?
What'd you say?
Did he do the Death of a Prince book? No,
that was Aparo.
That was Aparo. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Peter David didn't write that when Aquababy was killed. That was Aparo doing the art, and I think Kuppenberg did some of that writing, and I think it was Kuppenberg did the writing on that. But David started writing Aquaman when he had the hook hand.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's when he started writing it, when they took his hand and gave him the beard and
took his hand.
Piranhas took his hand, and they gave him the harpoon for a while. Yeah. That was great. That was a great run that Peter David had on that book. Really helped make Aquaman a badass in the eyes of many.
Yeah, he had more, like I said, a rougher look with the beard, and I said the long hair, and took his hand.
Precursor for the MCU.
Yeah.
Or the DCU.
DCU, yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so may both Peter David and Tod Smith rest in peace. And in some good news, I am glad, we're talking about the Punisher. I'm glad to hear that Frank Castle is coming back as the Punisher with his usual logo and everything. And it's looking up, it does see that that Frank Castle, returning. It's called the Red Band Marvel comic series, launching September. Okay. And the first issue where Frank Castle is back as the Punisher will come out September 10th. So a lot of things in September they were talking about.
I guess they let that other Punisher series die really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay, but it was just, I mean, it wasn't a bad story, but it was just why.
Yeah.
Why? We have a Punisher. Why?
Yeah. So I'm glad to have the Punisher.
Give me my Punisher.
Oh, and it says that it'll be in the Red Band polybag format. So
I hate the Red Band stuff. I hate it. It's pain in the ass getting the book out of the bag without bending the book up. You got to have your little, and a lot of times you're not sitting near scissors to make it just right. So you're pulling the bag open. It's just pain in the ass.
Yeah. Bill in our comments said that, talking about Peter David, said Peter David did some great work on Star Trek that gets overlooked. Yeah, too many.
Did not know that.
He also did the Atlantis Chronicles, which was very good.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes when you look into many writers and artists, inkers, everybody, sometimes when you really look at what they've done, their resumes, it's like, wow, I didn't realize they did that, and I also read this, and I'm a fan of this. I didn't realize that was so and so. Yeah.
Yeah, David is quite prolific.
Yeah, even to another story I forgot. Speaking of Peter David again, that one of the Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man issues we had reviewed here, and it was the one where Spider-Man pretty much he loses it, and he goes after J. Jonah Jameson, and he's almost about to kill him. It was a great issue, yeah. But yeah, glad to have Punisher back, and then also looking into. Oh yeah, I should mention who it would be by. Yeah, the series would be written by Benjamin Piercy, and the art would be by Julius Oda.
Could deal with that. I can go with that.
Mr. Keith talking about that Star Trek. He said that he loves Star Trek. He had the New Frontier series with Mackenzie Calhoun. And guys, when it comes to the Avengers getting delayed, I'm not too surprised.
The Avengers are getting laid?
No, they're not. They're getting delayed.
Oh, delayed. Okay.
Only Vision.
Only Vision's getting laid.
The machine's getting laid.
Possibly Beast. He's always having a good time there.
Yeah, when Beast is Avenger, he's constantly getting laid. Yeah.
Why he sheds so much blue hair.
He's blue fur all over Manhattan. Single women's apartments everywhere.
Now you're gonna make me start acting up too. Oh, but yeah, one of these days we're gonna have to review a story with Beast as an Avenger. I'll save it for when Sal's on.
There's a lot to choose from. Yeah, when Sal's on, there you go.
You're right, because there is a lot, because he's been a member for such a long time.
Sal, when we first had that debate where he was like, he's not an Avenger. The next showcase I did, he was an Avenger for like 60 straight issues or whatever. I had all these issues, and the theme was Beast prominently featured on the cover. I'm like, whoa, who's that? Look.
I liked when also you guys had the debate. The pictures. All the nice Beast on the Avengers covers pictures, and you picked like the worst X-Men pictures.
Yes, I did. Absolutely, I did. Sal didn't respond to Jamie. I said, let me pick the covers. So I picked Avengers covers where he's happy, he's doing great things, and the Avengers covers he's sad and morose and sullen.
Yeah, I'm like, these are horrible X-Men covers.
Yeah, I did that on purpose. Yeah.
And then Boosh says the song Cat Scratch Fever was about Beast.
That's right. Well, listen, Sal wasn't buying it, but the whole furry thing, with the furries, the Beast started that.
Oh, Hank McCoy.
Oh, Hank McCoy started that, yeah. He's the real McCoy, and he started it, yeah. The whole furry trend.
Speaking on beasts and monsters, we've got about Godzilla, who is all over the place. Like I said, he's Ghost Riderzilla. He's gonna be venomized. The whole it was Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe event. Yeah,
I've got to say, so far I'm underwhelmed with the Marvel Godzilla books. The DC book last year, Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, that was just stupid fun. The whole thing, I loved it. This
is your series of the year, right? It was comic of the year, or one?
I think it was event of the year. I think I had it as event of the year it was just
fun.
It's just stupid fun, and comics are allowed to be stupid fun. The Marvel ones so far, just stupid. Yeah, I'm just not enjoying it so much.
Yeah.
Mike, am I wrong? Are you?
No. I mean, I'm a huge Godzilla fan.
Right, I'm buying them too, but yeah,
they're okay, but they're not anything fantastic.
Yeah. But of course, granted, the DC, what DC had going for it was you threw Kong in there, so that's a great co-star. But there's just I don't know, just not as much fun for me. So,
but look at that. Richard says, "Hey, Beast is an Avenger."
Richard is on point. Even if he was Team Sunny, he's still on point.
Better gray fur.
He had gray fur, but you know what? he tried the Just for Men stuff, and he decided, he wanted to. He looked too old with the gray. What were those commercials with Walt Frazier? Make the gray go away. Whatever they would do, those cheesy
fur blue.
Yeah, he turned his fur blue because the gray was just too old. And once he turned his fur blue, he's a baller again. Yeah,
he was ahead of his time. Look, blue hair is more common now.
That's right.
He was ahead of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But when it comes to that Godzilla stuff, I really loved our chat, what we were saying when I even said, I'm like, at this point, I won't be surprised if Godzilla becomes hero of the Galactus.
He already was, actually.
I'm not surprised.
In the 70s series.
Godzilla is all over the place, man. I'm going to have to find something that he hasn't done.
And then then he tried to eat Galactus, and Galactus said, out of here. Can't have this.
And Sal said, breaking news. Galactus has become the hero of Galactus, but like you said, he already has been. But then he also said, breaking news, Godzilla has become the next president of the United States. Breaking news, Godzilla has met alien life on Mars and has devoured them. Breaking news, Godzilla has destroyed the 30-story high statue of himself. All these, he said Godzilla has joined up with Buckaroo Banzai and defeated the World Crime Syndicate.
Remember, no matter where you go,
there
you are. That's right. It's good advice. Buckaroo Banzai.
Tattooed.
Exactly.
And then now we said the main one we all want is, let's see. So Godzilla versus Howard the Duck. With the duck, he said, "With the duck, it's Bambified," and Sal said he would read that.
Sal loves him some Howard the Duck.
Yeah,
he does. So we know he'd be rooting for Howard the Duck. So good. Godzilla's everywhere. I'm sure next week we'll have more announcements. Maybe he'll get the power of Grayskull next. Maybe he'll get He-Man's sword.
Wow,
I have the power.
Oh, look at that. Because we have, like I said, Richard said he gets venomized. Yep, so he is. He truly is getting venomized. And then he said, look at that. Godzilla joins the Avengers.
Godzilla wields the Infinity Gauntlet. Nice.
He might be fighting. Yeah. There you go. Talking. Yeah, Godzilla was the Infinity Gauntlet.
The Infinity Clawlet.
The Infinity Claw.
Yeah.
The Infinity Claw.
Sal said he loved that movie. Not too sure which one. Maybe he was maybe. Oh, Sal said loved that movie. Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck.
He was watching it for Leah Thompson.
Yeah.
Godzilla's an Avenger. Why not?
Yeah. They've had so many people joining. But yeah, he will be. Yeah, but Godzilla will be fighting the Avengers. He'll be fighting Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, X-Men.
He's already fought the Hulk. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Maybe he'll go. Maybe next year. Last year was DC. This year Marvel. Maybe next year he'll go to Image.
There's a DC sequel in the works.
Yep.
Oh yes. There you go.
Godzilla versus Kong versus JLA 2.
When's he gonna go to Image and kill Youngblood? Bite their little feet off.
Godzilla get indigestion from eating something that crappy.
Yeah, really.
And he takes on those Godzilla versus Savage Dragon villains.
Oh, don't even go there. See, you do anything you can to get Heavy Flow and Mr. Duty or whatever the hell his name was.
Mr. Duty, Dung.
Dung.
Hey, don't let Eric Larson hear you, or there might be a character named Mr. Duty coming up.
Oh shit! Right, literally.
Oh,
shit. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Duty.
Mr. Duty. Captain Duty.
Oh my goodness, he's been promoted.
Richard's like, I'd still get laid more if he's with the Avengers.
Duty became Captain Duty. Oh man, exactly. Godzilla. Why is it's hard to get laid with that radioactive breath. That's a detriment. But if he becomes an Avenger, he'll have a cult status, and maybe he can get laid.
It's a lot of great things ahead for Godzilla.
Yeah,
fights, having a lot of fun, and then like we said, I guess he won't be fighting. Maybe he won't go to Image. Maybe he won't fight Mr. Duty.
Mr. Duty. Yeah.
One of these days, I gotta have me and Dan. Dan Kelly art. Check it out. Maybe I'm gonna have Dan be like, man, let's create a character for the F list. Let's create like Turd King or Mr. Duty, just a character of poop.
Or the Brown Lantern.
Brown Lantern.
Who we've already created. Yeah.
Wait, does he have a real person name yet? The Brown Lantern or no?
It's Secret Identity right now.
Yeah,
okay.
we have not gone that far.
Maybe Mr. Duty.
Mr. Duty.
Bob, Bob Duty.
Crusty Duty.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
See, Booch is with me. It says I'll be all for a Godzilla versus Savage Dragon.
Savage Dragon is bite size. Yeah, we'll be done. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. By Dan Kelly art. Look at that. Promoting Dan as well. We should.
Out of all times, Dan's usually here in the comments, and now we're talking about him and saying to buy his stuff. Now this is the one episode he's not here for. But Dan, yeah, it's been doing good. I've been, Dan's been jumping in quite a few episodes. It seems like it's been us and Dan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He has. He's
And
been
next week-
involved. Sal's involved.
Yeah, next week, we'll have Sal.
Jamie shows up occasionally.
Yeah.
Like I said, he was the one that we started this. It was me and him.
Yeah. We haven't seen Jamie's eyeballs on this one, so far so we might as well just misbehave. He's not watching.
Well, he found out that maybe he went to jump on, and then he heard that I said, "Give me $1 million, give Jamie 10."
Maybe that's it.
Maybe when I insulted the name of the episode, I was like, "Oh,
He
Why is it
might
called
not
that?
like us talking about the hamster named Jamie. I didn't do that. Garth Ennis did that.
Yeah.
it's all his fault, not mine."
Mm-hmm. Brown Lanterns. Yeah. There we go.
There we
Brown
go.
Lantern.
Yeah, Richard, I own the one and only Brown Lantern ring comic book.
Yes, you
Yes,
do, Richard.
does.
You own the only one. And oh my God, when they the logo is great.
Right.
When they have to get all the creators in a room, that's a bunch of us that help create that. Yeah.
Yep. That's a whole lot.
Yep.
Looks like a toilet. Richard said, "Looks like a toilet seat."
as
Perfect.
designed. And we even have the Brown Lantern Oath. Went through a few variations. His day job works at Taco Bell. There you go. That's the fuel. That's his fuel. Yeah.
Bill, we did a Sergeant Rock book, a Sergeant Rock episode that was like 3 hours long.
Yes.
But we have not done GI Combat or the Losers.
Yeah.
I have all GI Combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not yet, Bill, but plenty more things to come. Like I said, more things on episodes of Comic Character of the Week. Like I said, you guys already did do Sergeant Rock, and then like I said, today we'll be reviewing our Army at War. So yeah, always stuff. And we always do love recommendations too, everybody. You know, there's a comic or character you want us to focus on.
Well, with
Let us
Mike here, I know one day I'm sure we'll do a Haunted Tank episode because he has every single issue of GI Combat where the Haunted Tank first appeared. Was that in '87?
The year or the book?
The book, number 87. Was it
87, I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
You know, the year was early 60s, I guess. Yeah.
Guys, like I said, we've had a lot of comic book news. We've had a lot of fun. Now let's say that it's time for things to get a bit insane.
Uh-oh.
Are you?
All right, Mike, you and I were
Beautiful.
both in a comic shop today, and did it ever occur to either one of us to ask Rob what book had the most variants today? No.
No.
Was there
No.
a Dynamite book that came out? Because, you know, that's always the go-to.
I will.
There you go. Richard says TMNT.
31. Wow. Oh,
31.
man. Wow.
Liz says Dawn or Witchblade. I would love to see as comic character of the week.
Dawn, the covers would be an amazing
Yeah.
choices.
Hmm.
Man, I don't
That guy.
remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember any Dynamite books today.
I think there was a Silverhawk.
Oh, I'm going Silverhawks then. If there's
Yeah.
a Silver.
I think there's Silverhawks. I think I have to go with that too.
Okay. Well, you gave me the answer, so I'm gonna.
Well, that's okay. We can have the same
Who's
answer.
just also
Let's go
saying
Silverhawk.
Silverhawks.
Let's go Silverhawks.
Okay, so we've got TMNT, we've got Silverhawks, by quite a few. Anybody else like to chime in and take a guess as to which comic book had the most variants this week?
Vampirella. That's a good call.
All right, yeah. Tony Geek says Vampirella. And then for Boosters Tommy Manigan, Hitman would be a great comic character of the week.
Hitman would be a great comic character of the week.
Yeah.
Scud, the disposable assassin. I think he's on the F list.
Hey, but hey, F listers could be on Count Character of the Week too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see what this one that list says. JLU because of the crossover event for covers, or Absolute Woman, or Absolute Wonder Woman, I'm guessing. Sal says Venom, 50,000 variants. I got them all.
He does have them all.
And Bill, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the show.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, everybody. So I've been giving you some. Bruce said, "Wait, there's a new Scud."
New Scud.
All right, but everybody, I'm gonna give you the countdown before I tell you which comic book had the most variants this week. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The comic book that had the most variants this week. I'm most surprised none of you guys guessed it. Thundercats.
Thundercats. It's always
Thundercats
so
lost.
Dynamite. Damn Dynamite. Boom goes the Dynamite.
Thundercats lost issue number 3. And I'll tell you that actually the second place was Batman, number 160.
Oh, for the Hush storyline.
Yeah.
So let's take a guess as to how many variants it had, or how many comics it had this week.
27.
You said 27?
27.
We say 28.
28. Victor had 31. All right. So, time for that countdown again. And the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, before that, yeah, Talking Geek says yes. Oh man, I've been getting Thundercats. I should have known. But yeah, so this week, Thundercats issue number 3, or Thundercats Lost issue number 3, had a total of 13 variants. Or 13 covers.
13?
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't even count.
You're slacking, Dynamite. You're slacking.
Yeah, only 13. And then Batman came in second with 11. But yeah, so 13, unlucky number 13 for Thundercats Lost. Yeah, I was at a loss of words when I first found out. Like, wow, it's only in the teens. It's only 13.
We're all over. Yeah, all of us are over.
Wow, it's wow. Things are getting sad when you only get 13 variants from Dynamite's Thundercats.
Well, Dynamite's running into publisher or distributor problems. Nobody wants to carry those books because it has all the variant. They have all the variants.
They're like, okay, fine, we'll cut it down from 26 to 13 covers per comic.
Jeez.
Makes more reasonable.
Next week we'll see. They'll probably be roaring back and say, okay, we took time off. Now we need to have 30-something variants. And before Booge had guessed 24. Yeah, so Richard went 31. Richard, if you only switched, or if you typed it in wrong and you said, oops, 13.
Richard had it right. He accidentally transposed the numbers. Richard, congratulations.
Dyslexic.
Good job. Good job.
And he did it 2 times, but maybe you messed up 2 times, right?
Hey, come on.
You hashtag Team Sunny, so I'll give you the pass.
Sonny, don't confuse things with the facts. Come on.
All right, guys, that takes care of that. And now, Uncle Gary, it's time to put you to work because it's wrong. You've got 5 statements.
5 statements. Okay, here we go.
Statements.
The Superman movie will be the highest grossing comic book movie this year.
Right.
I can see that.
All right. I say right to that.
That's July, right?
Yep.
Yes.
July 11th.
July 11th. Yes. All right. The backup crossovers in the Batman Deadpool comic will be better than the main feature.
See you, Sal.
See, Sam.
Sal's got to go. He said bye.
Never behave. You got that right.
Never
Sal,
behave.
you know we can't.
Yep.
Yep. So the backup crossovers in the Batman Deadpool comics will be better than the main features.
I'm going to take a stab at it and say,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm going to say right. I think it could be a cool issue, but I don't think there's going to be much of a story. Maybe the issues, like I said, the last ones, they may be 2 or 4 pages, but they could still be fun. So I'm going to say right.
I'm going to say right, yeah, because I just don't think Batman and Deadpool is a good matchup. I just, like Mike said, Nightwing would have been a much better choice than that. So, all right, this one's about our host here.
Uh-oh.
If Sonny Kruger gets any more handsome, it will just be criminal.
Totally right.
Right.
Totally right.
Yeah. So
10 out of 10. You gotta be sitting red there.
That modeling agent that thought he aged out, what the hell was he thinking? Yeah. I mean, he missed his chance.
Yeah.
He would have been a golden goose, man.
Yeah.
All right.
So they missed out and Codex got me. So
there you go. Peter David did not get the credit he deserved for such a stellar career.
I say right.
Yeah, true.
I think so too. I think we look back and go, oh, that's right, he did that too. And I think, I'm going to say a lot of that happened because of his illness, and he wasn't at the forefront of things recently, and that's kind of why. It kind of put him, that he wasn't able to work and things like that. But he had such a great run, such a great arc, and I think he just, he fell out of the public eye, or out of the collecting eye because he wasn't around, and I think that's a shame because he Hall of Fame career, that's for sure. Yeah,
He's an Avenger.
All right, and the last one is Sergeant Rock is the greatest war-themed comic book character.
I say right.
I know Mike has conflicts because he's not his favorite, but
I have conflict. He's not my favorite, but I think he is. He is probably one of the best, wartime characters.
I think absolutely the best known, but I think he is the best of the wartime characters. Yeah.
Yeah. So all right, so let's circle back to number one, which would you like to read number
Superman.
one again?
Superman would be the.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Superman movie will be the highest grossing comic book movie this year.
I think we all had right. Yeah.
Yep, I think
She
so.
also said right. Richard had right. I said right. Liz said she agreed. Yeah. So we were all in agreement.
I think this movie is going to be the middle ground between the 1978 movie with its campiness and a little too serious, which I did like the seriousness of them, but the Zack Snyder Superman. I think it's going to be some in the middle between. I think it's going to have some serious moments and a lot of fun. So that's where I think it'll end up.
Yeah, I could agree. Like I said, even too from the last trailer, like there are serious issues brought up. But like I said, even to something I really like with the trailers that I just feel like an inspirational kind of vibe with it.
Listen,
like, say like the 70s.
I love the last one where she goes, "You have a dog," and Crypto's laying on his chest.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for Crypto. I'm buying all these damn Crypto covers now that are going to be coming out lately.
Nice.
Stupid dog has suckered me into getting these. The second question was the backup crossovers in the Batman Deadpool comics will be better than the main features. And I'm saying, yeah, I just don't think the Batman and Deadpool is a great mix.
And I went with right. I'm like, I could see some of the quicker little stories actually being better. I mean, I'm not like dead set on it, but I could agree. Boosh disagreed and said wrong.
Okay.
Richard said right. Liz, I wasn't too sure if when you said I agree if it was with one or two, but yeah. Mike, did you agree or disagree?
I agree too. Yeah.
And nothing against either one of the characters. I just don't think it's a good mix. Yeah. You know who would have been crazy? Deadpool and Plastic Man.
Oh God.
Fun. Yeah.
Now that would be a lot of fun, right? I mean,
yeah.
That who's stupider? With the idiocy. I mean, that would be great. Eel O'Brien and Wade Wilson. There we go. So I think that would be fantastic.
And it would give Plastic Man a lot more like a spotlight that he deserves. Like he's such an underrated character. Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. He's not a big enough character. But as far as silliness between the two of them, oh my God, that would be great.
Yeah. Number 3 was a really good one you had, right?
No, number 3, I think that's a slam dunk. If Sonny Kruger gets any more handsome, it will be criminal.
That's right. We all agree. Richard agrees with me.
Look, Mike just threw up a little in his mouth. Did you see what he did?
I'm trying to get oxygen.
It just, yeah.
That's okay.
Full ambush bug.
What was it? Did everybody agree to that one?
I think so.
From what I've seen, yeah, it was great, yeah. But yeah,
Somebody's not
Deadpool-
going to post if anybody said that. Oh, Deadpool ambush
That would
bugs.
be
Oh
fun.
yeah, I could go with that.
That would
Talking
be
geek, absolutely with ambush bug. You know, and ambush bug broke the fourth wall all the time too.
Yep.
Where he's
yeah, so they
talking.
really
Yeah.
worked well together.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so number 3, they said slam dunk.
The slam dunk
Criminal
unanimous.
cricket in
Wow,
hand.
look at
Yeah.
that. There's no debate on that one. I figured. It's funny how enthusiastic you are about that one, Sonny.
Yeah, I'm very humble.
You know, you're not conceited. You know, I used to be conceited. Now I'm perfect. So
I was never like cocky or anything. I was always humble.
Well, that's very nice. I used to be cocky, but you know, that was then. Let's see. Peter David did not get the credit he deserved for his stellar career.
We're all in agreement with right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I agree with that. I think he did not. I think he's one of the best writers of his generation, and added so much, and especially the extended runs he did on Hulk and Aquaman were so damn good. You know, and if you haven't read the Atlantis Chronicles, he created a whole world. You know, there a whole history there that was really fascinating. So I love that. And then the last one is Sergeant Rock is the greatest war-themed comic character.
And I said right. You said right, Uncle Gary. Let's see. Booge and Richard both said wrong.
Okay. Well, who do they think is the greatest war-themed character? I know. I mean, Mike has people he likes better, but you know he thinks Rock is the greatest.
Yeah.
So you were also saying right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a haunted tank guy, Jeb Stewart, you know, and stuff, but Rock is the essential character.
And right, and I'm not counting Frank Castle as a war-themed character.
Or they had Frank, and I think one of them, Richard, had Captain America, but
Yeah,
we got to go back to think of Captain America as a war theme.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm talking non-superhero, so maybe I didn't specify that non-superhero kind of an average, you know, regular guy character, because I'm not talking about super heroics, you know, just the genre of war books.
Right.
Yeah, even me with Captain America, I thought, but I'm like, I don't think of Captain America as just like being in the war. You know, I think of him as fighting Red Skull, fighting, you know, being part of the Avengers and all these other stories. Where Sergeant Rock, I think of Sergeant Rock is in the war, so that's why he's my
right. And I don't think Castle either, even though Castle was shaped by Vietnam War, he is more of a crime character.
Yeah,
you know,
the mob.
Yeah.
And Bill had said Sergeant Rock, best written for sure, but a lot of competition for the best to be considered. That would take time.
Bill, let's talk.
Bill, you're talking his language there. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay. And then there were some other comments too about, I didn't want to keep going back and forth, but yeah, so there was also about the Deadpool and Batman crossover. Bush had said, yeah, unless it's a dud writer, Batman and Deadpool should be easy home run. Also, Batman has had dry humor at times. And then he said crazy characters would be great, but Batman and Deadpool should work.
Well, I will be buying it.
Yeah.
I will certainly be buying it and supporting this. Absolutely. But I just don't like the matchup, but prove me wrong. You know, I'd love that. I hope they do. You know, I hope they do.
And Tongi, yes, earlier we did say that Zeb Wells will be one of the writers and Grant Morrison will be
right. So
writer.
So the one Marvel will distribute will be Zeb Wells and Greg Capullo. The one that DC will distribute will be Grant Morrison and Dan Mora.
Yeah. And Bush said okay. And then he said also with war setting, he said Snake Eyes.
Good one.
Snake Eyes is a very good character. Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, so some good right or wrongs there, Uncle Gary. Got us all talking, all going at it. Yeah.
So, very good. Except number three. Number three, evidently, everybody is unanimous.
Unanimous. So yeah. Sometimes it's good. We could all agree. You know, sometimes the world just needs to agree on things. You know.
I should have made that the second question so I could say Sonny's some number two.
Number two is Sonny.
Number two is Sonny.
But hey, I guess I had to be three. So, and then Bruce says Zeb Wells is going to suck then.
Well, see, that was a little bit of my thinking too, because you know we're still we're still the whole damn Spider-Man thing. What the hell did Peter do? What did Peter do? We still don't know what it was that Peter did that was so awful that that whole series was started with. Yeah. Yeah. I do love Morrison and more too, Liz.
Yeah.
Bruce says, yeah. Oh, wait, sorry, I was going down. That, Richard said, will there be maps?
See, maps can save a lot. Maps can save a story. Me and Sal love the maps.
Yeah, I don't mind them, and I like them. I also like too how the newer comics, when they started off and they put they tell you who the characters are. Let's just say we usually, obviously us, we know the characters, but sometimes not everybody jumps on and knows this character, that one. So I think it's a smart thing that they do now.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, but you know what is good? Sometimes you got to choose what comic books to read. Do I read this? Do I go with that? But are you ever been in a situation where you're like, do I dance or do I eat cake? Because it's time for a random panel of the week. And that is this. There's a man asking a woman named Jenny. He says, so what will it be, Jenny? Do you want to dance with me or have more cake? And Jenny says, cake.
Cake, baby, cake.
Cake. Well,
cover one of your romance covers, Scary.
It's a panel from a romance book. I will tell you this. Getting rejected for cake is not the worst rejection in the world. Agreed. So, if it was, so if she'd rather have cake, that's okay. That's better than saying I want beef jerky. Yeah. Or tofu.
You look at Jenny, she's very thin, so she could use some cake,
She's got a thin little waist. She can eat a lot more cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't need to dance with that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
trying to make somebody choose between him and cake. I'm glad he lost. I'm glad he lost to the cake.
Yes, me too. Go cake. Team cake.
Well,
hashtag team cake.
He's going to tell her she can have her cake and eat it too.
Bada bing.
And she gladly will.
Yes, she will.
Also, Uncle Gear, now I'm curious as to how the cover is. It was still like the best showcase when you show those romance covers.
Yeah, they were.
That's
didn't you say you showed Maria and she enjoyed it?
I was telling about them again. This one, yeah. So yeah. I had to share those. I had to share it.
If they make me laugh, I'm buying them.
Boo, stop to grab them cakes.
Grab them cakes.
That's right, yeah.
That's your dog. Nice one. Nice pull.
Yeah, my junkyard. Just saying. Well, there you go.
Yes, everyone was saying cake, yeah. Yeah, even Liz, must be some damn good cake. Yeah.
Oh, because Liz thinks that man's handsome. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. And Tuggy said, at least it looks like DC is taking Batman Deadpool seriously as far as creative. Yeah.
Well, they are. They are. Though, if you've ever seen Morrison talk about Batman and how Batman is a fetishist, it's hilarious, And
I have to look that up.
Yeah, he was on. God, was he on Seth Meyers talking about? He goes, "Oh, Batman very much fetish." He gets in. He goes, "I'm going to dress in my black bat suit. I'm going to drive in my black shiny Batmobile. And I'm going to hope the Joker notices me." That was great. Oh my God, it was great.
And Mr. Keith said the cake has a better smile.
Oh wow.
And Talking Geek says, what kind of cake is it? I think it's flan cake.
Flan.
Uncle Gary, we were mentioning that I'm half Mexican, and flan is a cake that we love. So I'm gonna guess it's flan, even though nobody there is Mexican. I'm guessing not one person at that party is Mexican. But Talking Geek says cake or death.
Death by cake.
Death by cake.
Well, we know Thanos would pick death.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I used to have a boss that you can't please everybody. You bring cake, somebody's gonna want pie. I think he wants pie.
Yeah. I see what you did there. And
Did I
tell you that what CD came out the year I was born? Cherry pie.
By warrant.
Warrant.
She's my cherry pie. Yeah, and Walter Daddy standing at 6'4", saying I ain't gonna be swinging with his daughter no more. Yeah, she's my cherry pie. I just was very confused when I listened to it because it just didn't sound like they were singing about pie.
Yeah, well, I think what kind of the pie they were talking about is the kind of pie that this guy
wants. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
Yeah. But it doesn't look like he's going to get it because he's getting rejected for a piece of cake.
And look at that smile. He's working that smile.
Yeah.
I think that smile was working on Liz because she would have turned down the cake.
I think so. Yeah, I think he was about to get it. Yeah.
Look at
This looks like how Ronald Reagan met Nancy, probably with the same results. And Bruce says, "Say no to drugs, yes to cake." I completely agree.
I'm all for that too.
I'm also giving that one a star.
He gets a star. Sonny's giving out damn stars now. What the hell? Wow.
We'll remember this too as the episode that I found out you can give stars.
You can give stars.
Sonny, this is how civilization ends. You give Sonny the power to give out stars.
No, it'll be all good.
This is how the world ends.
And everyone's laughing, but it's a good time. Let me see more. Cake or Death also gets a star. I'll find more comments to give stars to.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's time we get to something that doesn't have stars. It's time we jump on to the F list.
You be careful.
Joining the F list today, unless Uncle Gary can convince me otherwise, is Anti-Lad. And you see,
It looks like a penis with eyewear.
see, I was trying, baby, but yeah, exactly.
He's
That's
a real
the kind of head
dickhead.
he has.
Yeah, he is. He's a dickhead.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best description of his head. Just like that, and with a
I mean,
visor.
look at the line down the top, just like Hair Star. Remember in Preacher? Yep.
Yep.
There he is. Like the Legion. And there he is, Anti-Lad, a closer up of him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this has to be a one appearance guy. I don't remember this character.
Anti-Lad.
That's pretty interesting that you say that you don't remember the character. Because his one issue was, let me give you another picture first. Here he is in action fighting. That is a cool pose. Here, Lightning Lad, I believe these belong to you.
Wow.
And now, it's funny how you even say you don't remember him. Is because he was in the issue of Superboy that was entitled "The Legionnaire Nobody Remembered."
Oh, well, there you go. That'll do it.
Yeah. Would anybody like to take a guess? Yeah.
Is it one?
Liz. She thought the F was for, I won't say it, but now she knows it's for fail.
Yeah.
Wow. So
Bruce says, is his name Richard Noggin?
Yes.
So Liz's F list was the dude that wanted to dance. I think was on Liz's F list. Wow. I mean, that helmet is unfortunate.
Liz says, dude's wrists must hurt. I'm giving that a star.
There you go, Liz.
Oh my
Wait,
God.
and then now I just see, Mr. Keith said, the top of his head looks like a butt.
We were thinking a little something different.
Either way, it's not good.
Oh man. Yeah, this isn't good. What issue number did he appear in? I'm gonna say 197, the Superboy.
Okay.
Rocket.
Not too far off. He was in issue number 204.
204.
Which was entitled "The Legionnaire Nobody Remembered."
Yeah, and I tell you what, the first one, I think my first Legion issue was 203, so that was the second. Yeah. I mean, barely remember that awful costume, but I certainly don't remember the story. So
Or that head.
no,
Yeah.
when I was reading it, I guess I was 9.5, so I didn't see the symbolism. Oh Jesus, that's a bad head.
That's
Mr. Keith says, okay, but he is amazing on a synthesizer.
There you go.
He's the 5th member of Diva.
That's what I said. I said that too, Liz. He looks like Hair Star.
Yes,
Yeah.
All right, guys. Anybody, Mike, would you like to guess, or Uncle Gary? Anybody want to take a guess as to his history?
Well, listen. I think Richard Noggin was the best. He had the butthead.
Butthead's dad.
I think he had an unfortunate. He had an unfortunate sledding incident where a sled crashed on his head and it indented the top of his head. Oh man!
I think when he was born, they had to use the forceps and.
They grabbed him wrong.
Head.
Wow! One on his jaw, one on the top of his head, and that's what they did.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I got nothing. Go ahead.
But let's see. Mr. Keith says, "Yeah, I'm all for wearing this as part of the future, but everyone else has to pinky promise to wear it too."
Well,
I'll wear it for like one episode of the podcast if we're all doing it, but I don't know about that. And guys, we're all getting a bit older, but there's no way I will keep this hair. At least, I have been bald before, so I don't look like that. So if I have to be bald, at least if I don't like the way I look, I could say, well, at least I don't look like Anti-Lad.
Well,
true.
I don't have that like.
I mean, yeah, that's just not a good look. But it's still not as bad as Zardoz's costume with Sean Connery was in that movie.
Yeah, but he has a better head.
Yeah, well, that's true. He has a braid and long hair. Look at that
Mustache.
Wow, he materialized out of nowhere. I tell you.
So, let me tell you a little bit about Anti-Lad.
And that's Mike Grill art right there.
30 hours.
That's Mike Grill.
That is right. Yes. So,
Mike, we're gonna have to ask Mike Grill about this.
We got to get copies. We got to get copies of this.
Yeah, we got to ask him about Anti-Lad. Why he looked like a giant penis.
See, it was created by Mike Grell and Carrie Bates, and the issue his one and only appearance is in Superboy 204, the Legionnaire nobody remembered. And so, if there's only other family members mentioned is his an unnamed father who does appear in the issue. I had to find this issue. So Anti-Lad is from the 75th century.
Well, and the Legion's from the 30th. So he's way in the future.
Yeah, so he's doing research for a report. Maybe he's a college student or something. He doesn't look that young. So he goes back in time to check up on the Legion and then accidentally messes something up. So it's like, oh, now Superboy's never been a member of the team. Oops. So he goes back like this, and then he turns around and he tries to join the Legion. And as you see, he uses those powers to take them on. But actually, we find it. Well, so he's actually putting up a good fight. There he is. Yeah, look at that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It makes it easy for me to take advantage of your weight. And then Cosmic Boy's the one who says, yeah, think you can stop gloating long enough to take me on?
Uh-oh.
And he does take him on. But eventually Brainiac 5 is the one who...
Yeah. Aha. I saw what you did there.
There you go. Brainiac 5 figures out that, what's up with that visor that he's always wearing on his head?
He's got a 5 head, so Brainiac 5 would figure it out.
Yeah, so Anti-Lad said, oh, it's because I can't see. My future's very bright.
Or he's got to wear shades.
Yeah, I need to wear these all the time. So he goes to sleep with them off, and then Brainiac 5 just walks in, turns the lights on, and says, wait a minute, you're lying. So then he tells, okay, the truth is, yeah, they messed things up. You should give Superboy another chance to try out for the team. And they say, okay, Superboy makes it, but all of Anti-Lad's powers, really he doesn't have powers. They're more just from that visor. So before he leaves, and he convinces them, yeah, give him another chance. And so that he gives Superboy another chance. As we know, Superboy joins the Legion. Anti-Lad goes back, but he decided to leave one picture. So they kind of are like, who is this guy with us in this picture? And it's a question they always wonder, leaving him to be the Legionnaire nobody remembered. Yeah.
Well, that was a very sad tale.
It's a horrifying tale of.
And that's it. That's his one and only issue.
Well, he was very well forgotten by me.
Yeah. Mr. Keats says, in a world of anti-lads, be a pro-lad.
Be a pro lad.
Or you could be a matter-eater lad.
Well, he saved the universe. That's right.
Yeah. I was like, man, I was like, if there's anybody who could possibly save anti-lad, it's Uncle Gary. But I was like, he's only in one issue, and I've gone through this issue. Like, I don't know.
I know. You can put him in the dustbin of history there, buddy.
So there you go. It shouldn't even just be, he's the Legionnaire nobody remembered. It should be the Legionnaire nobody remembered, including Uncle Gary, the huge fan.
Was he a true Legionnaire, or he just sounds like a visitor? Did they make him a member?
So it's they after he did like the fight. Okay, yes, I've earned my spot. So that was kind of it. Like they're like, okay, you're sitting at the table. So he was at the table with them, like
okay,
in the anti-lad, yeah. And
you know what?
I think he joined for like a day.
This was a Make-A-Wish thing. He wasn't a real Legionnaire.
Make-A-Wish.
I'm agreeing.
Look. He had a deformity where he looked like a giant. What looked like he had a penis head. So he had the Make-A-Wish. He had the Make-A-Wish thing, and they let him be in the Legion and ride around with them and act like he was going to fight crime for a day. So that's what that was.
Liz can see why he only made one issue. Bruce says he was in one issue too many.
Yeah.
I agree. Both stars. Mr. Keats says Rob Liefeld needs to give him pouches.
Pouches?
He needs some pouches.
He needs some pouches on that head.
Yeah. Pouches of pouches. Yeah. So everyone, I think it's safe to say that anti-lad joins the F list.
He can join the F list. F for forgotten.
Yeah, we'll forget him. But who?
Who? What?
F list for forgotten.
Yeah, maybe 2 weeks from now, I'll go to put him on there again. Oh yeah, we forgot we put him on because he's so forgettable.
Right. I told you he was a one and done.
Yeah. And he is this is Gary then Zatanna wiped all the minds.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
And what was his name? Noggin?
Richard Noggin.
Richard Noggin. That was it. Yeah, Richard Noggin.
That was great. That was a great.
Hey, they never gave him a name other than Anti-Lad, so there's a very good chance that his name is Richard Noggin.
Yep.
Dick Noggin. Dick Noggin.
And one more time before we jump on to our story that we reviewed.
Don't you get to move him into the F list?
That video is not made. We'll have to get to.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Sel decided to.
I just want to see him flying through the air
with his hands up, with his little hands up like that, flying into the F list.
Like yes. One of the greatest fighting poses ever. Like the way he just got those hands up.
He looks like he should be strutting the runway in Zoolander like that.
Yes. I was gonna say he looked like he could be hanging out with like RuPaul. No.
Show me wax the floor.
Oh man, yeah, Sonny, you can put that one on the F list. No protest
on that one,
argument there.
Look, he's pushing the button to put himself on the F list.
Yeah.
He does. He's
like, yeah, I'll go. I'm ready. Put me on the F list.
Anti-Lad joins the F list. And I would forget him because he's the forgotten Legionnaire. So
yeah.
And now we get on to our review. All right, everybody. Today we are reviewing Our Army at War, issue number 297. Sergeant Rock percentages. And I will get us started with some of the credits. All right, the story came out October 1976. The executive editor was Jeanette Kahn. The cover artist is Joe Kubert. The writer was Robert Kanigher. Kanigher was Robert Kanigher. Penciler Frank Redondo. Inker was also Frank Redondo. And editor was Joe Kubert. So, like I said, Sergeant Rock percentages. This is a story of Sergeant Rock and Easy Company. They're given a mission by a general. Just if you don't go to do that. And he's also talking about percentages. Oh, and it's because he's asked, what about the casualties? What about the people us who could die? And he's going, well, 1% bombing this, 1% that, 5% that, and 10% cleanup. It's all good percentages. So basically, this is a quick story. When you get through it, and it's Sergeant Rock and Easy Company, they're going to do these missions they were sent on, and as they're going on, people are dying, characters are dying. Even these two brothers that were there. What was it? Johnny and Frankie, and both brothers die, and quite a few people die as they're doing this mission. And pretty much the story shows it's war. When you put it on war, when you put people at war, soldiers die. And that's where Sergeant Rock, he even says at one point, I kept thinking about the general talking about his percentages and all, like the nails he was pinning up, and like this cover even shows, me and Easy Co made it back, but this is what it cost. And that's the truth, So that's what the story it shows. I mean, this is a quick one. Like I said, it gets to the action right away, but it also that lets some of Sergeant Rock. You get to see some of him, but also you get to see some of the horrors of war and the constant people dying. Soldiers constantly dying, sacrificing themselves and depending on missions. And sometimes, I've never been general, and never been in war or anything like that. Thank God I haven't been. But sometimes, like the general in the story, puts people out there, go ahead, do this, do that, and if people die, it's part of the war. They don't look at it as much. Whereas,
well, they're numbers; they're not men. They're not individuals; they're just numbers.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, that's how people like the general in this story look at it. So, guys, I'm interested to hear what you think of this story. Uncle Gary, you had what made me say, what about us reviewing this story was you had posted the cover on Comic Character of the Days, for the cover of the day.
Well, I post this cover every Memorial Day. This cover, this is like a buddy of mine said, this is a case where a picture says 1,000 words, and this one does have words with it, but it's just Rock's look holding up the dog tags and the sentiment that Memorial Day is all about the men who didn't come back, the men and women who sacrificed for our country and never came back. And the look on Rock's face, the pain look on his face, that fist tightly clenched with the dog tags of the fallen, and you see the bullet hole in that one dog set of dog tags. I mean, I just think that is I just think it's poignant, and that's it right there. That they captured their objective, but the human cost was substantial, and that's just part of the the horror of war and sacrifices that men and women have made for our country, ever since its inception. So that cover speaks to me. That cover is probably a top 10 cover for me, all time comic cover. So, and on a day like Memorial Day, it resonates greatly with me. So that's why I always post it.
If you look down here at the very bottom of the dog tag, Gary, tell me, does that say Carmen Infantino?
Let me see. It could, because he was publisher at the time.
Yeah. The last dog tag.
It does.
Yeah.
I agree. If Booge agrees and says hell of a cover.
Yep, thanks, Booge. Yeah, and one of them is Robert Kanigher.
Yeah. And Paul Levitz must be a publisher.
Yeah, Paul Levitz, and he wrote Legion of Superheroes for a long time. Okay. So M. McNeil, the others aren't as distinguishable. But you're right, Mike. I never noticed that. But you're right. Paul Levitz, Robert Kanigher, and Carmen Infantino. Infantino was the editor-in-chief at the time. Levitz was probably publisher at the time. But Levitz also a great writer, great Legion writer. But that is, you're 100% on point there, Mike. I never noticed that. Good catch. Thank you for pointing that out. Absolutely. So, and Paul Levitz is also a DC Comics historian.
Yeah.
Mike, what about you?
I love the story. It's a classic Sergeant Rock story, putting his men in front of everything else that he does. He always puts himself out on point. And you see that throughout the story. And he's not one to sacrifice his men. It's also shows the tragedy and trials of leadership, at the general side. You've got to think of them as percentages, because if you were to think of them as men, then you probably would never send any of them into battle.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But it's a great book. It's a classic cover, and a great story. So I love it.
I think it was just really telling, with the general, when he's giving them the mission, they have the big map up where they're giving the briefing, and they have all these push pins with the red ends to them. The handle part is little red handles, little red circles, and that's where his percentages are here, there, and there. And at one point, Rock's got a handful of those things, and just looking at them, where that these are men, your little push pins. And then Rock is pulling dog tags off of people the whole issue, where he lost people. He lost the twins you're talking about. He lost one of the guys, Tampa, in his unit.
And got burned at one point, grabbing dog tags.
Yeah, that. So it's just, like Mike said, it's easy to poke fun at the leaders. The generals are just sending men in to do this and the meat grinder and all that. But you got to have an overall strategy, right?
Yeah.
Or wars don't get won. And like you said, you can't. If you think of the individual, then you're not going to do what's needed to be done, and that's move your pieces across the battlefield, in a way to secure it. But it's but with Rock, that's his company, that's his men that he's responsible for. And when he loses these percentages, they're not just a number, they're men with names, with dog tags, with loved ones back home. So it's just I think it presents the dual nature of, leadership against, the enlisted that have to go carry out those orders.
Yeah, and you need to make a good point, Mike, with saying that. Yeah, so like one of those things where it's a tough job, but someone's got to do it.
Right.
Yeah. For me, overall, yeah, I think this is a great story. Like I said, very quick. My only issue would be that I could have had it go longer, but that's a compliment to say, I would have liked to have seen more, where I thought it was pretty quick and solved fast. But I think it's a terrific comic. It's Uncle Gary, perfect for Memorial Day, perfect way. This is our way, for me, that we celebrate on the show. I'm like, hey, let's do an episode that talks about a comic that talks about war, shows talks about how horrible it is. But I truly think that nothing we read or no documentary I watch or anything could ever truly make me know what it was like. We can just speculate. For someone like me who hasn't been, I can just speculate and guess. And this is a terrific story. I give it a 9 out of 10. So for me, my only issue is that it could have been longer. And like I said, and for me, that's a compliment to say that I would have liked to see even more.
Well, Sonny, with you read it, where you read it, did it give you the backup story? There's another story in that book. It wasn't a Rock story. It was a Scottish Piper story.
The one is the Scottish Piper at the end.
Yeah. So, and that was an entertaining story too.
Yeah.
Yes, that was good. So that's why overall, saying that maybe instead of that, I would have preferred like if this just was the percentages was a bit longer.
Yeah.
I
agree.
But I think it is a terrific story, and I highly recommend it.
Definitely.
What about you guys for ratings wise?
Okay, I'm gonna say, especially for its time and for I think it was pretty heavy hitting, showing the duality of the conflict between leadership and the enlisted men, and the great art, the great story. I'm going to say, Sonny, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to say 9 out of 10. But if we're just judging the cover is a 10 out of 10.
Agreed. I do love that cover. I think that cover is a 10 out of 10. And real quick, Boo said, I never heard about those names being on the dog tags. That's a pretty cool catch, Hawkeye Harbor.
There you go, Hawkeye Harbor. Like that. That was a great catch. As much as I love this cover and tout this cover, I never sat there, because a lot of them you look at, they're just squiggles. I never paid attention that there are some that you can read. Yeah,
Mighty Mike becomes Hawkeye Harbor today.
Hawkeye Harbor.
All right, Hawkeye Harbor.
I'll go also 9 out of 10.
Okay, so we're all going with a 9 out of 10 for our Army at War, Sergeant Rock.
And I think we all agree covers a 10 out of 10, right?
Agreed. I give the cover of our Army at War, issue number 297, a 10 out of 10. That is the
10 out of 10
cover.
here. Yep.
As soon as I saw you post it, I was like, wait, what comic is that? It grabbed me into it. And that's why even today, usually we don't post the covers, what we read, but I said I feel like we got to show it to everybody.
Well, and you know what? I appreciate you doing that. I think that needs to be seen. That cover needs to be seen as often as possible. Like I said, if I was going to list my top 10 favorite comic covers, that would be on it.
Good pick. And Mr. Keith asks, how well was the issue received when it came out?
Mr. Keith, 76.
October 1976.
Yeah, it was 76, man. I was just I was 12 when that came out.
Yeah.
There weren't really a lot of fan feedback back then. You just bought them off the racks. There were a few fanzines. So I don't know that there was a great clamoring for it either way, but I don't think there was an uproar or anything like that, or or if it was heralded, just because there really weren't the forums to do that much then.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the only reason. I think had it come out in a more modern time, I think maybe it would have gotten a little more, resonance. But, the war books have grown up a lot. Mike and I and Sonny recommended a few months ago when we did War Idol.
Yeah.
That's maybe the greatest war comic I've ever read. I mean, one of the greatest graphic novels I've ever read.
Yeah.
So, that's how sophisticated that is, head and shoulders more sophisticated than this story is. But you take this in the context of 76, this was I think it was pretty
epic.
Pretty epic, pretty cutting edge. Yeah. Mr. Keith, 76 was a pretty patriotic time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you were alive then, but like I said, I was 12 and we were celebrating the bicentennial, so it was a very patriotic time. So, and it was patriotic because it was, detailing the sacrifice. It didn't glorify the war deaths. It was just a very real, matter of fact, matter of fact story about it. That this is, again, Letty says on it, this is what it cost. This is what it cost.
Yep.
And with that, I say it has been a great show. Everyone, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I felt this episode was a 10 out of 10. And I hope you all have a great week that's a 10 out of 10. Next week, Sal the Slab Guy set to be on, and we will be reviewing King in Black.
Oh, King in Black.
So that's what we'll be doing.
Is that a Venom book? Are you sure Sal's read it?
I don't know. So I was like, let me ask Sal.
You think Sal have any Venom references to go on?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
I know Howard the Duck. I know he likes Howard the Duck, but
yeah.
I was like, hey, let me give him a Venom one. Yeah. And yeah. So Mr. Keith said he was born in 82. So a little bit after that. And Boo said, yeah, I need to read more war comics. As a kid, I needed monsters and masked superheroes.
Oh, so did I. The war books, I wasn't collecting. I know Mike was then, right? Mike was collecting them. I wasn't.
I grew up on military bases, so.
Yep. Hey, again, we can't recommend highly enough Enemy Ace War Idol. Read that book. That is a very adult, deep, heartbreaking, uplifting in a way through the trauma that the Enemy Ace and this Vietnam veteran tunnel rat, where they come together, a World War I vet and a Vietnam vet, and they both have PTSD and they're both healing, one at a crossroads in his life, the other at the end of his life. It is, and the painted art on by Pratt. Dan had an interesting point about that. The other day we were talking about that, about how Pratt inked that drawing in my book and in your book, Mike, and neither one of us knows whose is better.
Yeah,
we both think they're so fantastic, and Dan said we ought to both show them and see what the people think.
Okay.
I just think that's interesting because you and I mean, I'm like, man, yours is great, and you're like, man, yours is great.
Yeah.
I couldn't pick between them. They're both so fantastic, and it looks, Sonny. What maybe we showed you when we showed the book, it looks like it was published that way.
I remember, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of hard. Yeah, when I think about it, it's hard to pick which one I actually like.
And Mike and I just
Thank you,
watched
Emily.
him do this freehand in
Yeah.
ink, and it just blew us away.
And Booch, you know, I say to how you said War Idols on your list. I'd say to get it. Like me, I read it online and I said I need to get it actually because it will be a different experience.
Yes,
reading
you
it,
need to
especially
have
with
it in
painted
front
art.
of you.
Like I
You
said, with the
need to
painted
have
art, yeah.
It is beautiful.
You need
It
to
is
get it.
beautiful, and it is heartbreaking, and it is uplifting too.
It is amazing.
Yep.
And to leave you guys off, thank you everyone. Thank you for the nice comments. Thank you for joining us. I leave you.
Richard
No.
Nugget.
Yeah, Richard Noggin. No, actually, I'll leave you with
Richard Noggin.
this great cover.
There you go.
Thank
There we go.
Also, one more plug: Sergeant Rock, The Lost Battalion. Read that.
Billy Tucci.
Really
I will
cool.
add it to my list.
Yep.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you for watching. It was
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Love you. We love.